away from her, assuming they'd figured out where she was. In that moment, 4 people emerged from the burning ship, appearing suddenly at the nearest dock. So great was the turmoil and panic that none of the human men seemed to notice. They just assumed the 4 had emerged from the cloud of smoke. Will could make out Aramis's top hat and Porthos's cloak, and knew that a 3rd member of the group must be Athos, the leader of the hunters. It was the 4th person in the group that concerned him. Hope. She looked different now than she normally did, opting to appear as a brunette with pale gray eyes. Her energy was well shielded. The hunters had detected energy work aboard the boat and found a woman not dressed in sailor garb. If she wasn't the rogue associated with the Alliance, her obvious displacement made her suspicious enough to capture. Will let his shield drop. There was no point in hiding now. They probably suspected his presence at this point. Porthos's head immediately snapped in his direction, a sneer upon his face. He waved in jovial fashion, and then pulled the sword from his belt. Athos and Aramis followed suit. Will ordered the tiny nanobots surrounding him in an invisible swarm to move to Hope, covering her in an invisible fashion, an armor that would prevent any completed blows from the swords the men held. She was safe from harm, and now that Will had been spotted, the hunters would blame him for her survival. But it wasn't enough for him. He sprinted toward the dock, dodging sailors racing away from the carnage, fury in his eyes. He sent a warning jolt of energy at the hunters, a promise of future payback if they dared hurt the woman they held hostage. In a more isolated space, he'd teleport there to her side, or simply whisk both of them away. Hope could do it, and if Will hadn't been there, her survival would have ended the efficacy of the Hope as human ruse. With him there, though, she maintained the ruse of being incapable of defending herself, an illusion Will found laughable. There was nothing funny about her current predicament, though, especially when the hunters threw Hope to the ground and advanced on her with swords drawn. Will glanced around, smelling the fear, hearing the explosions, feeling the heat from the burning ships in the harbor. The planes continued to fly overhead, releasing more bombs upon the reeling harbor. No one was paying attention to him or to them. He dipped into a cloud of smoke generated by a burning ship and teleported to them, shielding her with his body. The nanos reformed to ensure that all exposed skin for the 2 of them was protected from sword strikes. He heard the inhalation of breath as the hunters went for the kill shot, waiting for the thud as the blades struck the invisible armor. Wondered, in that instant, why they'd seemed unfamiliar with the idea nearly a century later, when they'd attacked Will in a similar manner. He felt no impact of a sword upon armor, but rather the sensation of warm liquid dripping upon his body. He saw more liquid hit the wood beside him. The metallic scent seemed to fill his nostrils, and he could almost taste it. Blood.
"Traitor!"
Aramis screamed.
"How could you protect a human woman? How could you protect him?"
Will spun around, rose up off Hope, and took in the scene. Adam's body had been pierced by all 3 swords, and blood dripped from the gaping wounds to his torso. He teleported in front of the swords meant to execute Hope, and him.
"You never understand."
Adam's speech was a grimace. Hope scrambled to her feet, her eyes, like Will's, wide with horror. Athos put his hand on Adam's chest and pushed the man roughly to the ground, and the hunters used the movement to withdraw their swords from his body. The blood flowed freely, and the sight and scent of it overpowered even the smell of fuel and